Okay, 10B.
2017 to 2021 Strategic Plan, fourth quarter update. Tim Moken, Executive Director, Community Services Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're very pleased to be before you today to present an update on the fourth quarter for our 2017 objectives in the 2017 to 21 plan. We're going to walk you through a PowerPoint and primarily focus on the objectives. Those are very measurable and specific, and so we'll give you updates on those. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have. Commissioners, just a quick reminder that we do have 5 broad goals with an overall plan. You see those listed on the screen. Of that, we had then 26 strategies and then 148 objectives that we hope to complete over the 5-year period. When we started the overall plan, we did divide up the objectives into the respective years. You see in 2017, we had 92 that we hope to launch, in 2018, 39, and then so forth through there. As I've indicated to you before in other presentations, probably a little bit aggressive in 2017 with 92 or 62%, but we've done a very good job with your leadership and staff involvement. And so on this next slide, we show that we're at 76 at this point in time that have been launched through 2017. So we're quite proud of that. And so we have 16 that will carry over into 2018. When you look at the overall objectives at the 148 that we have for the 5-year plan, at 76, we're over halfway at this point of those being launched. So we feel really very comfortable that we'll be able to achieve the objectives over the 5-year plan at this point. Commissioners, any questions of me before we go on to the objectives?
Any questions? No?
Julie Crowe has a meeting in Denver at 10:30, which she's going to be very fortunate to be able to make. And so we're going to go to goal 5, and then we'll come back to goal 1. So I'm going to skip ahead here a bit. And we've got public health up first on goal 5, and they'll take the first 3 slides.
I'm sure you won't run into any traffic going north on I-25. Too soon?
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Gonzalez, Deputy Director, El Paso County Public Health. Real quick, you'll see Strategy B, number 5. We did give an update last week on radon and radon awareness. But one thing I wanted to highlight is a really unique partnership we're having with the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, and with a goal of targeting outreach in low-income areas and areas where we've seen low testing results. So we're working with our epidemiologists and our data analysts to find those areas where we see a lower percentage of testing compared to others. And we're meeting Friday, and we're going to start strategizing on how to get out there. It's never too late to test for radon, and you can go to our website, elpasocountyhealth.org. You can go to the How Do I icon. Oh, thanks, we're doing it right now. And then, How Do I Test for Radon? You'll see a wealth of information on there. As Commissioner Littleton asked last week, well, what are the different tests? We got that information up there. There's an uncertified test to certified, varieties of free tests to low reduced tests. So I encourage folks to go to elpasocountyhealth.org, and I think he's got it here. You go there and you scroll down to the How Do I for those, and you'll see test radon almost at the bottom there, yes. And you can scroll down, and that gives you all the information. If you scroll further down, it'll show links to how to test and so forth. So that's my update, if there aren't any questions.
Commissioner Vanderwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the testing that has been done so far, are there any areas in our community where there seems to be more radon risk? I mean, often that's in like mountainous communities and so forth, but I'm just curious if we have any data that indicates something like that.
We do. When I say this, I'll frame it up because my staff will get after me. You want to test because one house may be under the 4 picocuries per liter, but your house may be above, just depending on the soil structure. But yes, along the natural foothills to our mountainous areas, we do see a higher tendency for radon within dwellings. So typically our foothill areas, the Rock Rimmon areas, the west up to the Manitou Springs areas. However, we do see it out east, but not near at the rates we do on the west side. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
and good morning. My name is Susan Whelan. I'm the other Deputy Director for El Paso County Public Health. And the update for a youth substance use prevention effort revolves around a Communities That Care model that is a proven model that is shown to reduce substance use among youth, but it also increases resiliency in youth and helps prevent problems before they start. And Commissioner Gonzalez is on our key leader board, and we have launched that effort. It's a 5-year plan, and the uniqueness about that plan is it really mobilizes stakeholders within the Fountain Valley area to take action. And again, it's a long process. The community board has chosen and narrowed in on risk factors to target, which are low neighborhood attachment and community disorganization and extreme economic deprivation. Those are the priorities to focus on. The next part of the plan is to do a gap analysis of existing policies and programs that address those priorities as risk factors. And we'll have another update about that probably next time. The next slide, please. As you all know, that the county has been heavily involved in teen suicide prevention efforts, and I won't go through all of the updates on this slide. However, I did want to point out a big success. There have been about 50 different community partners on a teen suicide prevention effort, and we really spent some time identifying the gaps and needs of the community. And one of the gaps that was highlighted in the county was we don't have a crisis response team effort outside of Colorado Springs, and Public Health joined with the Sheriff's Office to apply for a COE Responder model grant, which will pair behavioral health specialists with law enforcement. And there's a effort in there that will model for crisis response, where the Sheriff's Office, they're concerned about law enforcement, but the behavioral health specialists will assess the needs and do follow-up. And this is not specific to youth. It will cover all ages. And then we're in the process right now of putting the, finalizing the budget and then building that model to launch it. And that's all I have.
Any questions? Great job. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for taking me out of order, and thanks to Tim Wolken. I'm Julie Crowe, Executive Director of DHS. The first objective that I'm reporting on is related to our community detox program. As you know, it transitioned to Crossroads Turning Points on December 2nd, 2017. We're also working on a very exciting initiative in partnership with many people, including Tim Wolken, District Attorney Dan May, and others, related to some of our pregnant women who are in the El Paso County Jail and helping them transition out safely to substance abuse treatment providers in the community. And we've been hosting some meetings with pretrial release and many folks, and this really is a 2-generation program that can kind of break the cycle of addiction, kids going into foster care, and then them sometimes growing up in the system and ending up back in our criminal justice system. So we've been doing some exciting work, specifically with the University of Colorado and Crossroads, to look at helping transition some of those women to programs elsewhere. Next, please. This particular strategy relates to, okay, sorry.
If we could ask Terry Frank to come up from our Sheriff's Office, she'll report on this next slide.
Good morning. I'm not used to being on stage. But thank you for having me. I wanted to comment on the sheriff's very ambitious initiative to partner with the El Paso County Health Department. We applied for and received from the Office of Behavioral Health a grant to create and implement a COE Responder Unit, which would basically involve a crisis intervention trained deputy and a licensed behavioral health specialist from the Public Health Department to provide services on basically what we call check the welfare calls outside the city's jurisdiction. Our dispatch unit did a review of how many calls are received outside the city, and there are so many, and many of these people, mental illness is not a crime. But unfortunately, without the resources to provide some kind of assistance to people outside in the county areas, many of them were taken to jail or to the hospital and just kind of left there to be on their own after that. But this unit will respond to those calls, and either, sometimes it's just a matter of taking somebody home to where there's a responsible family member or spouse. Sometimes it involves taking them to a 24-hour crisis intervention clinic where they can get immediate help. Sometimes they are taken to the hospital. But what we're trying to do is reduce the number of people that are in jail basically because they are mentally ill, or they self-medicate to try and deal with the mental illness because they don't have the resources to get help on another level. So we're very, very happy to be able to partner with public health. We have a lot of great opportunities on the table for creating this program. It will fund April 1st, and hopefully it will be renewed over the next 5 years, which is what the intention of the grant is. Questions?
Great. Any questions? It's great. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so in the background, I have a little video clip that they're going to show, and this is about our employment entry. We have implemented an employment entry program that's been very successful. In fact, El Paso County, for our TANF clients, has the highest employment entry rate in the entire state and has maintained that for well over a year. And so we received a state CSTAT award. And if you see this video, what you're seeing is we have an award for workers, and every time someone helps a client get a job, we ring a bell, something goes up on our board here, and we have a celebration once a month, and there's a first, second, and third place winner for helping our clients receive the most jobs. And in 2016, just as an example, we had 118 jobs for our TANF customers a month, roughly. But now we're at about 254 jobs per month. And so there's a traveling bell that goes to the worker that helped the most clients get the jobs for the month. And so there's a little celebration, and the video you saw was just a clip of the celebration. We also are implementing a system. We're one of 5 counties who's partnering with the state to pilot a new system called Touch Pay. And Touch Pay allows people to come into our child support office and pay their child support directly there. And believe it or not, although we have great programs with Young Williams for child support, if someone came in and wanted to pay their child support, they actually could not take the money because they had no way to take it and account for it and get it to the right places. And so now with Touch Pay, we'll have a kiosk in Young Williams where someone can come in and pay their child support right away. The reason that that's important is it helps our customers be self-sufficient and not necessarily need benefits from the counties, and it helps keep their kids safe. So we're really excited to be one of only 5 pilot counties that's implementing Touch Pay in our lobby at Young Williams, and we'll have that kiosk up next quarter. Everything's ready to go with that. My next objective is really quick. It's about our Colorado Community Response Program. And with that, oops, am I off off track here. With Colorado Community Response Program, we're partnering with Catholic Charities, and it's for screened out referrals of child abuse and neglect where we don't think we need the department to be involved. And so we can refer those cases to Catholic Charities, and we don't need to get involved in that program at all. I also wanted to tell you about our work with our homeless initiatives. Chris Garvin deserves a lot of credit for this. He's helped with homeless camp, making sure that when we need to help move people out of homeless camps, they're set up with emergency services. And he's also done some crisis outreach related to some seniors that were losing their housing, and he did a very, very good job with that. If we can just go to the last slide, the second to last slide I have is related to adult protection, and we've done 42 outreach events in 2017, and so we're really pleased with that, and 7 outreach events in the last quarter. That's all I have on Objective 5. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you. I know you guys are doing great work. One of the things that always concerns me, and I know you guys are working together, but I want to highlight, on the homelessness issue, how this one crosses into so many different areas. Public health, when you have camps along the waterways, is an important aspect. Fires, I know recently that throughout the years, fires started because of these camps that, so now you're in public safety. So this is one of those areas where it's almost bringing in every aspect of the county. So just wanted to highlight that and how difficult that is.
Absolutely, thank you. And we're doing everything we can in terms of our partnership around eligibility and emergency services. So thank you for your support, and I want to thank our team as well. We have a great team.
Commissioner Vanderwerth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I also, on one of the earlier charts, going from that finding jobs for 118 people to the 254, I think was the number. That's actually really significant, that change in numbers. And I know part of that's due to the fact that we have a healthier employment environment, work environment. But I think we need to thank you also because you're implementing programs that's taking advantage of that and helping these folks that are in need that would otherwise have challenges finding a job get into the workforce, which is healthy for them because it gets them into an area of discipline and self-sufficiency, but also healthy for the community because we help fulfill some of the unfulfilled job requirements. So appreciate you're doing it. Now's the time to do it. As more and more go forward with that and they get into that workforce environment, that'll be helpful for them on down the road and leading to self-sufficiency, so thanks.
Thank you. And I also want to credit Cheryl Snell, who really came up with the idea of the job board and the bell. So she's done a great job. Thank you, commissioners.
Commissioner Littleton.
Thank you. And I know we've talked about it in the past, but I think it actually may be a reality or becoming a reality at this point in time. I think that there are 3 different states, and I can't name them off the top of my head. I'm sorry, it's been a couple of weeks since I've read this, that are actually beginning legally to do drug testing for people receiving benefits. So it's something to keep on our radar screen as well. And I know that we are on how that's progressing when it becomes legal, possibly looking at considering that here in El Paso County.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we do have a substance abuse treatment person on site that can do assessments and is working really hard to help people get clean and sober as well. So thank you so much for your support.
It's kind of hard to follow the Energizer Bunny. Real quick, and Commissioner Vanderwerf is aware of this, we established the Regional Resiliency Collaborative Program during our events. That is a program that's pretty fluid right now since most of our events are starting to come to a close. So what we've done is we've redone the bylaws to work on a program that now addresses prevention and preparation. So that's kind of the direction we're going with that. Is that correct, Commissioner Vanderwerf? The other thing is our fire flood recovery projects that are closed were Oxford Bridge, Glen Eagle North, and Rock Creek Ranch. The last one I didn't think was going to happen, and it did. So that's a great blessing there. And the county also reached a milestone with Riverside Mobile Home Project. That is moving forward. An offer letter is there, and I think there's a closing here within the next week on that project so far. Any questions that I can answer?
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Thank you. I appreciate, Jim, you're bringing up the Resiliency Collaborative, because it is true, as we're closing out the major projects for recovery from our previous fire disasters, we're refocusing to a smaller number of meetings, but I think very impactful meetings. But we're talking about prevention. And so we just had a meeting here very recently.
That's correct.
And I do co-chair that with the city. And I tell you what impressed me and was kind of amazing to me is how much work is actually going on about forest fire risk mitigation. Everybody in that room is well aware that unless things change, this summer fire season is going to be a very dangerous season because there's a very low moisture content in the forest right now and not a lot of forecast snowfall and rain that we know of. That can all get fixed in a few weeks, but right now looks like a big risk. But everybody's got projects. The Forest Service is doing a 70,000-acre fire risk mitigation project north of Highway 24. That's actually huge. And then CSU and all the community partners and nonprofits and other public agencies and the county as well. It has projects, and the county's focusing a lot on helping citizens reduce fire risks on their private property. What can be done to reduce fire risk on their private property? It was an interesting dynamic, I thought, in that meeting, which was earlier this week, because there's a lot of complementary work, but also there's just a lot of work. And it isn't that well known publicly what's going on behind the scenes about the continued efforts to reduce fire risk. So I thought it was a great meeting. I think it's a good refocus for the Resiliency Collaborative, and thanks for bringing it up.
If I may, real quick, the one thing that my biggest concern up front is flooding. As long as the ground is continued to be dry, it will not absorb water. So come spring, if we have April showers that bring May flowers, we hope that the showers come lightly, at least for a couple weeks until the ground is actually able to maintain the water. If not, Commissioner Wall is shaking his head, and you're very familiar with flooding, I think, personally, right? Yeah. So if not, I think we may have an issue with flooding as well. So we'll have to track all that. So, all right, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
So Commissioners, we're going to roll back to goal number 1. And I'm going to call on our Human Resources Department, Kirsty Anderson and Shirley Beasley, to present the first slide.
Good morning. I'm Kirsty Anderson, Human Resources Manager with the Human Resources and Risk Management Department. In terms of improving and enhancing employee retention, this is really going to pertain, our objective pertains to the compensation structure that we have. We are working to be consistently reviewing market data to ensure that the positions and descriptions are in the correct salary grades and are competitive with the market, as well as collaborating with the departments to ensure we are maintaining internal equity. One of our main focuses within this year will be to explore options to address the highly technical, skilled, and specialized positions within the compensation structure. So that's all I have for that. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shirley Beasley. I am the Training and Organizational Development Specialist with Human Resources and Risk Management, and I will be speaking on the internship program that we are trying to implement. So the Human Resources and Risk Management Department is researching and contacting local organizations to include school districts, colleges, and veterans associations regarding participation in internships with El Paso County. Human Resources will continue to explore the options to attract interest from community members to careers at El Paso County and to present options to departments and offices for the placement of candidates. We are in development of an internship program which will incorporate the department offices and interest and feedback. So when we speak on internships, we are also including work-study programs as well as fellowships. Initially, our focus was on skilled labor positions, but as we contacted local community organizations and we spoke with the departments in the county, we realized that there was also interest in other areas so far as financial and IT, for example. So we are broadening our scope to incorporate those needs and that feedback from the departments to come up with a program that will encompass more than just like the skilled labor, which we were initially looking at. So we actually have 2 candidates now that are being considered for internships, and then we also are in the process of waiting for signed agreements for HVAC and electrical and plumbing internships as well. So that's it. Any questions?
Just one, are we looking in the areas of incorporating from a criminal justice standpoint to trying to help deal with our recidivism rate?
At this point, we have not really gone much into that area. Right now, we've spoken with some of the colleges in the areas, and we're working with some of the high schools so far as like summer internships and just incorporating folks that way.
And that's something I would like to work with Tim on, with our Criminal Justice Coordinating Council and the sheriffs, to also see if there's a way to, when people parole out, if there's a way to incorporate that in there too. I think that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Julie Crowe. This is my last objective. I wanted to report out to you about some of our federal and state grant funding. As you recall, we received a big federal grant of over $800,000 for a system called HS Connects in partnership with Adams and also Pueblo and Arapahoe counties. And we're the lead on this project. We had a very, very busy lobby. It was long wait times for our customers to be served. And now, because of this grant, we're starting to really see some changes. So we have purchased the equipment through the grant for our lobbies, including kiosks, computers, scanners, a Q-Flow system. Q-Flow is a system that helps kind of streamline and lean up all of our processes to make it easier for people to step through our systems. And we also put out an RFP through a competitive process, and DSoft Technologies was selected for both project management and a change manager to help really make this system work effectively for the people that we serve and streamline our lobby processes. We also received some state grant funding from Healthcare Policy and Financing for a new telephone system so that people don't have to wait so long on the phone, and we can look at how long people are waiting, how quickly our staff are able to serve the customers and look at their workloads and push work to them. So between the Q-Flow system, the lobby modernization, and the phone system, we're able to serve people in El Paso County more effectively and efficiently. We're on time and on budget in terms of this grant. I want to acknowledge and thank Elaine Johnson, Samantha Montmany, Nicola for her oversight and leadership around this project. It's been a phenomenal project, and also Karen Logan, who's really stepped up and done the day-to-day and made sure that everything with this project is working exactly the way that it should be. So I'm happy that our customers are receiving more efficient service in El Paso County due to these grants. And that's all. Any questions?
Great. Any questions? Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stormwater is going to be our next, our big challenge here in the county. And I note that the city and county has tried to address this over the years in several different venues. But here's what we've done so far. I won't go through the whole list, but we've coordinated with these folks you see here towards our Phase 2 MS4 permit, which we have to have. And just keep in mind that when we say stormwater, it's not the amount of stormwater, it's the quality of the stormwater that we're dealing with. And so we've coordinated with all these folks to include coordination, stormwater education sessions, and we've talked to our HBA members. So that's kind of where we're at with that, to get the awareness raised in the county on stormwater. Any questions that I can answer for you?
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Good morning again. I'm a little more comfortable now. When I came to work for the Sheriff's Office, the new administration in 2015, the beginning of 2015, there's always a need for extra funds, and there wasn't really a cohesive way to apply for grants. Nobody really knew whether the department had grants or how they were being managed or if they were being managed or reported on appropriately. So it took a while for us to figure out just exactly how much money do we have in grant funding, and are we doing with it what we promised we would do according to the grant. We're slowly getting around to, well, we have figured out what we had, but now we're trying to research ways to apply for other grant funding. There are a number of opportunities out there that are very much in support of law enforcement efforts to keep the community safe. I heard one of you asked about recidivism rates. One of the grants, many of the grants apply to that very concept. Unfortunately, issues at the state hospital have made it so that many of the jails have become mental health holding facilities, and it's very difficult for the staff to deal with those as well. But what we're trying to do now is develop a grant program so that employees within the department who are able to identify grant funding opportunities know the process to go through to make the application, who we can partner with, what our responsibilities are, what our risks are we even eligible to apply for the grant, and then if we get it, we know how to manage those grants. A number of grants that we already have are very useful, one of which is the Black and Gray grant, which is to combat the illegal transport of marijuana across state lines, or to identify illegal grows in the county areas outside the city. Another one is the Battle Grant, which unfortunately Deputy Micah was a part of when he lost his life. So the plan is for the future is to build a cohesive grant system where we're aware of what money is available out there, excuse me, how to apply for it, how to manage it so we're in compliance with the grant requirements, and very much looking forward to finding some innovative ways to spend federal, state money that will enhance the sheriff's office. And I do want to thank you all for your support for the sheriff. The whole department right now is very much in a period of just trying to maintain and support and uplift the rest of the office. Deputy Flick's co-workers and the deputies that were out there with him that night are struggling, but the sheriff very much appreciates the support that he's received, not just from the county agencies, but from the public, and I just want to thank you for that, the support that he's been shown. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you. Just very briefly, I want to just say, as she's walking up the way there, I'm not sure she's hearing me. That's okay. You can stay up there. It's no worries. I just wanted to say thanks for that with regard to pursuing grants and doing it in a structured and strategic way. I do believe that will deliver more opportunities. And so that's excellent that you're doing that. Keep doing that and do more of it. All right, thanks.
Commissioners, we'll move on then to goal number 2, citizen engagement. Dave will lead off.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Rose, Chief Public Information Officer. Goal number 2 is to continue to enhance the understanding of civic services and promote participation, engagement, and confidence in county government. We have moved along handsomely in the most recent period with this. This was the year that we really wanted to step up our engagement through social media. Social media has matured to the point that it's very effective, and we've certainly seen that at various levels of government. And we wanted to do that in a strategic and meaningful way. I'm happy to report that we were able to use existing resources to hire a full-time social media person to actually execute this plan. In the last 6 months, we have seen engagement. You know, we needed to measure, and so we set a goal for ourselves of 5% per year. I'm happy to report that that actually looks ridiculous in terms of the fact that we've multiplied many times more than that. since we began this effort in earnest. Evidence of that, I mentioned in 2017, we had one YouTube video that we had posted that had 56,311 views. On certainly a sadder note, we would report that a tribute from Sheriff Elder for Deputy Michael Flink has received over 38,000 views since being posted late last week. So we have made some significant progress in that area, and we will continue to make significant progress in that area. Increased use of video. One of our intentional efforts was to produce regular video updates on the progress of the West Avenue Action Plan. I realize that there aren't tens of thousands of people who are terribly interested in that, but there are 1,000 people or more whose lives are directly impacted by that major construction project, and we've received tremendous positive feedback from the citizens and businesses in the western part of the county who are impacted by that. I think it's done a great deal to help them be informed, to expect the delays that are associated with the construction, and to understand some of the challenges affiliated with that particular project, which of course is proceeding in an area formerly known as no man's land, and as our construction supervisors have learned, not well mapped, and we've hit a lot of not unexpected, but certainly difficult challenges through that particular project, and I think our communications effort with that has really paid off. So those are some of the things we're doing. Coming up in April, we will be multiplying our video assets. Our concept for the Citizens College coming up in April will be to ask our participants, give them the opportunity to watch videos on the departments and services in advance so that we have more opportunity where citizens can come into that two-day intensive session with some background and can ask questions, and we think that will sort of multiply the efficiency of that program. Also coming up in April with the Information Technology Department, we will be launching the new El Paso County website. This is an extremely exciting opportunity for us to move forward. The major goals of that new website are to make it search-friendly, to make it compatible with all types of devices, and of course to give it a uniform look and feel so that folks who are dealing with El Paso County understand that they are in fact dealing with El Paso County. That we will spring that suddenly upon everyone after only 2.5 years of work to develop it and actually get it to the point where it can be rolled out. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we'll move on to goal number 3, and Mr. Reed will lead off.
All right, Commissioners. We are doing a final review in coordination with CDOT of the PEL on Highway 24. I believe that's in the Falcon area. We still continue to go to meetings on the I-25 GAP project as we go forward. And just so you know, CDOT is doing public meetings, so I would encourage the public to attend those and get that information. We also have some potential funding for 94, which has been a big project, and there'll be meetings to discuss that and see if there's any way we can participate in some of that. And finally, we are working on a brine system. I know you've heard this before. Would have been kind of nice if we had that in place over the security freeze that we had a couple days ago that kind of caught us off guard. But the equipment is in. We are currently trying to figure out where to locate it, get that site engineered so that we can start using that, and hopefully next winter we'll have that in full production.
Any questions? Great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, Strategy D Objective 2 had us launching on Phase 2 for Falcon Regional Park. County Fairgrounds and Fountain Creek Regional Park. I'm very pleased to report because of the 2017 Tabor ballot issue passing, that provided the foundational funding for us to launch on those projects. And so on the screen, you see Falcon Regional Park. We'll be adding additional athletic facilities, parking lot paving, restroom construction. We'll commit $300,000 of the 1A funds to that. Hope to land a GOCO grant to match that for a total of $600,000, and we'll launch on that project in 2019. County Fairgrounds committing $200,000 for that, primarily focusing on many barns that are well beyond their useful life. And so we'd like to remove those and put up more functional, energy efficient barns. And so that'll be our focus in 2019 as well. And then finally, Fountain Creek Regional Park, athletic field improvements, parking improvements, disc golf course, committing $175,000 of the 1A funds to that, matching that with $285,000 of other funds as well. And that will be launched in 2018. So just some exciting projects occurring throughout the park system because of that additional Tabor funding, which we greatly appreciate. Questions of me?
Any questions? Okay, no, thank you.
If not, then we will move on to goal number 4, can consistently support regional economic strength. Atha from our Small Business Development Center will present the first slide.
Good morning, Commissioners. Privileged to be here today to report on some economic development updates through our Economic Development Department. There's been 2 areas of focus for small business development, and our mission at the SBDC is always to help growing and existing and startup businesses throughout the region. But 2 areas of focus for our region have been Southeast Colorado Springs, and that is cybersecurity. As you know, there have been a number of organizations that we work with and collaborate with to help business growth and entrepreneurs throughout the region. And in Southeast Colorado Springs, we've been working primarily with actually quite a few organizations, as you can see on the slide, the Thrive and Rise projects, both very big initiatives for that area. And we've also been able to work with the Pikes Peak Library District to open up a satellite office in the Sand Creek Library to service business organizations with our one-on-one consulting and workshops, boot camps, working with Pastor Ben at Solid Rock Church, and a number of other organizations to help our economic development and business growth. Additionally, cybersecurity, of course, as you mentioned, Commissioner Littleton, there's been a lot of focus on cybersecurity in the area. We were all at the NCC grand opening the other day. We have been fortunate enough to be part of a House bill at the national level to partner the Department of Homeland Security and the SBDCs across the nation to help small business education in this area. We were the recipient of a $50,000 SBA grant, one of the first ones in the nation, to administer small business cybersecurity education as well across the state. We've been doing that through a number of ways, roadshows, workshops, one-on-one consulting as well, kind of our area of expertise. We've added a lot of other programs I have not given you an update on through our economic development, but everything produces impact of job growth, job retention, capital formation for the businesses, and everything objective number 4 is about. I can provide you with full impact numbers from 2017 and some of those program updates at a later time through Deanne and our department. But with that, if you have any questions, I can take those now.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. How often are you at the Sand Creek Library?
We are at the Sand Creek Library once a week.
Once a week, thank you.
And the time changes depending on our volunteer time that we have out there. But we were just a recipient of also another $10,000 from the city of Colorado Springs, $10,000 for Southeast and Cyber, actually, so a total of 20. So we'll be putting someone there, hopefully more full-time, to do a little bit more one-on-one consulting.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners. Deanne McCann with Economic Development. Obviously, tourism is a huge driver in our community for our economic strength. So one of our objectives in our strategic plan was to support a regional tourism master plan. The Convention and Visitors Bureau, CVB, has kicked that off. Commissioner Vanderwerf, I believe, was involved in one of the first sessions where they're reaching out to public officials to get their input, first of all, on what we need in tourism. And, I've lost my train of thought completely there for just a moment. I'm sure it'll come back one of these days. Let's see. Anyway, as tourism, it's a global market now. Not only do we compete competitively, compete for tourism dollars, but also we have an advantage maybe to bring more global visitors here. So that's part of this reason for this tourism master plan. And one of the things they're doing right now is doing a survey of any and all. They would like to have residents of El Paso County participate in a survey that will gauge, what do we need here? What are we missing as far as our tourism goes? Are we missing some major attractions? Do we need to update things? So I encourage everybody to take the survey. It has been posted on our social media sites. People can click on a link there to go to that survey, or else you can go to visitcos.com and scroll down about halfway the page, take that. It's a very brief survey, but we really, the CVB encourages you all to do that, all 5 of you, I hope. Secondarily, one of the, I'm sorry, please.
Nicholas Sapp.
Commissioners, I just wanted to advise I was at a community meeting Monday morning, and I received a briefing on this, and they will be reaching out to the board and having individual meetings with the private consultant that is working on this and getting your perspective. And with that, they'll be compiling data. And it sounds like they're just getting going on this, but they're off to a good start.
Commissioner Gonzalez. Oh,
You can go first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And to follow up with that, and when you mentioned my name earlier, the consultant that they hired, basically I did my interview with that consultant at the request of the Visitor and Convention Bureau. I did that several weeks ago, and they're basically looking for input from community leaders and elected officials about what you think would be beneficial and valuable for improving the tourism industry in the community. So that's really what they're after. So I did that a couple weeks ago already. Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I did take the survey, I think about 2 weeks ago. I posted it on my own social website. But I really do want to emphasize to the public to get involved. We tend to get some feedback, but the feedback needs to be shown in numbers. And I highly recommend people do this. Another good example was mentioned earlier, the I-25 meetings. I went to one. There was maybe 16 or 17 people there. I saw a picture of another one where there's maybe 10 people. And we keep talking about how certain people have an idea of what needs to be for I-25. You need to show up by going to these meetings. So I'm asking the public to get out there, get your voices heard, and in this aspect to fill out the survey.
Thank you. I do really think it is important, the residents of El Paso County. We all have family visit us, friends visit us, and we know fairly well what might be lacking in our community. We're very fortunate that we have so many great tourism opportunities, but we have to stay competitive. And the CVB, this is one of the ways they're approaching that, to maintain that edge. We have another objective to advocate and support the continuum of care efforts and work with housing partners to decrease homelessness. To Commissioner Gonzalez's point, homelessness is across everything. And it's a complex issue. One of the things that the Housing Authority recently undertook, we provided funding to the Springs Rescue Mission to expand its shelter for homeless women by 14 beds. It may not seem like a lot, but 14 women at Springs Rescue Mission that can then be made into, or revived into participating members of our community. And I think Springs Rescue Mission does a great job with that. They're actually up to 72 beds now at that facility, in addition to their other men's shelter. So then additionally, the county provided some funding to the Springs, or the Salvation Army's winter warming shelter that will accommodate adult men and women at times when it's very severely cold outside, so that we can avoid any deaths. We've been lucky this year, but we typically lose 1 or 2 people a year, so this will help mitigate some of that. Questions on that?
Any questions on that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, that finalizes our presentation today. I did want to ask you, as we move into year 2 of the 2017-21 plan, would you like to continue with quarterly updates, or would you be happy with semi-annual, because we'll be addressing less objectives in 2018 and beyond?
Commissioner Littleton.
Well, at least for this year, I think it'd be important for us to get quarterly updates. One of the things that I would like to do, Tim, is make sure that this is somehow on our website. Underneath where our strategic plan is, we should put a little folder underneath that so that people can get the updates and see what we're doing too. You know, kind of as a dashboard we'd looked at initially, you know, the green, yellow, red, you know,
Sure.
red not yet started, yellow in process, green already accomplished. Because I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Tim Wolken is one of the first opportunities I had to work with him is when I first came on in 2011, updating the strategic plan back then for the first 5 years. And Tim is a delight to work with. He's really pushing forward to make sure that we accomplish these things. You know, I appreciate that every single time that you come to us, you put on agendas, agenda items, how it aligns with our strategic plan. Because if we are not doing the things or funding the things that are within our strategic plan, I think we need to rethink what we're actually having on our agendas. Personally, I'd love to see every single item agendized have a strategic plan notification on it. How does it align? How do we fund it? Why are we doing it? Because to me, it just validates and provides transparency for the public on exactly what we're spending the tax dollars that they entrust to us on, and the accomplishments that we're making and how we thoughtfully do what we do, that it's not just random. So thank you so much for everything you've done, and it's been a delight working on the second strategic plan, and I won't get to work on the third one, but as a community member, maybe.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Any other questions?
Am I hearing quarterly updates through 2018 at least?
I think so, yes.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.